He's Wes.
He's Clay.
And thank you for joining us on Spotify or YouTube. If you're on YouTube, please, or if you're on Spotify, also go to YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. It does help support the channel. And hit that join button if you would like to support the channel with $5 a month to get detailed statistics consolidated into one document. Wesley, it's an exciting episode today because today, right now, we are actually live streaming this episode on YouTube, and it is semifinal day.
Yeah.
For each conference championship.
Rubber meeting road. It's big time matchups. We had a couple of unbelievable games in different conferences. What we'll walk through. What an exciting time to be alive. Like, it's so cool to watch some of these games and just the passion and heart and grit required. Feel really privileged to be here at Air Force Academy and doing the West Coast Conference. What I personally believe the deepest and best conference in America to be able to broadcast. This is like the NC2As for these teams. So it means a ton.
I'd love to hear, for those of you, yes, Wesley is currently in Colorado at the Air Force Academy pool doing live commentary for all the WCC conference championship games. Wes, you had a slew of fun games yesterday. I'd just love to hear from your perspective that experience. What was that like?
Well, for one, the fans have been great. Like there are a lot of people that have traveled really well. And that makes it amazingly fun. And we are like in the stands. So I'm surrounded by, we have tape keeping the fans from where we are.
From converging on you, those mad fans just trying to rip your shirt off.
I don't think anybody wants to see me with my shirt off. So
that's a horse of another color.
But it's loud. Like I can hear it through my headphones. Like it's loud. It's exciting. You're indoors and everything echoes. It's just the energy is so amazing. And all the games yesterday were compelling. I mean, Pepperdine, Santa Clara, 20-17. It's a lot of goals. San Jose State, 14-10. Air Force, like San Jose State was held scoreless until 2 minutes left in the third period. In that third period,
there was a wide open counterattack that could have put them Air Force within two, with plenty of time left and a lot of momentum.
So, and then the CBU game was just, it was lit. It was like, I don't know what the kids say. It was fire. It was edge of my seat the whole time. Yeah. And from different runs, LMU taking unbelievable. We'll get into that in a bit, but it has been amazing. If you are watching this, or you're here at Air Force, please say hi. I appreciate everybody that did come up and say hi yesterday. It's affirming, right? We don't get paid much to do. Well, we don't get paid anything for the podcast other than the membership, but then
you could say not much. That's also accurate.
But more than anything, like it's rewarding in our small community, in our small sport. To know that we're doing things that, hey, you may not agree with everything we're doing, but you appreciate what we're doing. That means a lot to us. Like we're never going to be everything to all people, but we do our best we can to stay kind of as neutral and compelling as possible. So it means a lot to me personally. I know Clay too, when you see him, when you come up and say hi and whatever else. So that was really cool. So don't be shy. It's going to be another great game again. Another great day of games here at West Coast Conference.
Yeah, echoing Wes, we love this game enough to have started this podcast. It's truly the people telling us, like, I love listening to Water Polo Wednesday. Thank you for what you guys are doing. That is keeping it going. You guys are the engine. So thank you for your appreciation. And it's fun to see our subscription number like somehow continue to go up. We're like 730, 740 today from zero.
753 today.
753 today.
Yeah,
wow.
We've doubled since last year. Just the support in the community has been amazing. That's why, like as Clay said, like that's why we continue to do this. This is like it's good for the sport.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so with gratitude, we always try to approach with gratitude. Before we get into discussing the semifinal games today, did want to call out that Bob Neely Memorial Cup for those of you who know or don't. It's a very special tournament in the Masters community and also developing a youth division for this tournament. Bob Neely was Wesley's first coach. And the reason that Wes and I met back in 2012, 2015, playing Masters together in the very first rendition of National League
That's right.
And we went on to form Republica, which went on to form LA Athletic Club water polo, along with Eric Carnahan. And Bob had passed away in 2015 from lymphoma.
2016.
2016?
2016, he passed away from
2016
lymphoma
from lymphoma.
cancer. And
That's right. And yeah,
Clay and I were talking, and I said, we got to do something. This guy is the
yeah.
reason we met. Clay was just you were the best man in my wedding months prior. And Bob couldn't make the wedding because he had cancer. And so it was an emotional time. And I remember sitting on the balcony of the apartment that I was staying in, and talking to you, Clay, and we just felt like we had to do something. And so it has now become the largest club hosted men's and women's water polo event. We've introduced a youth component to this, largely due to Clayton's efforts. In fact, Clayton is kind of the
And shout out to Ryan Rodriguez
yeah,
as well.
Clayton is the engine that has continued to run this thing, and all the money goes to charity. No single person takes a penny in profit from this. All the money goes to charity. A large portion gets donated to lymphoma cancer research and then back into the community. So into the water polo community, everything goes to nonprofits. So it is a huge event. It is a great event. We want to just put that out there. If you're not, it's the same weekend as NC2A, sadly, but if you're not at NC2A's up at Stanford this year, come out. Games will be at UCI. There'll be a ton of different pools, but if you're thinking about joining and you need a team, hit us up. I'm sure there's plenty of teams that need players. We just want to grow this thing. And, it's just a really cool event that we're very proud of. And I'm very grateful to Clayton for continuing to push this along as over the last, it's our, 10th year, Clay?
This is our ninth season.
Year.
It would have been 10 if it weren't for 2020.
COVID. That's right. It's our 10th year, but ninth tournament. So
rendition.
Rendition.
Exactly.
Yeah. So very cool.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this from across the country or outside of the country, we would love to have you. So a little bit late, maybe right now, to attend. Teams are pretty much locked in at this point. It's December 6th and 7th. Like Wes said, various pools across northern Orange County. And next year will be December 5th and 6th. It's always the weekend after the Thanksgiving holiday. So mark your calendars, start talking to your team leaders. We would love to have anybody and everybody out here next year.
Yeah, we'll be wide open next year. All right, let's get to business. We've got a lot to talk about, Clay. So let's start with the Northeast Conference, Northeast Water Polo Conference. Give me a second here, and I will present this to everyone. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so the Northeast Water Polo Conference. I'll make it bigger here for you. There you go. You got it now? Bit better?
We got it.
Okay, cool. So MIT knocks off Iona. Iona, who beat Brown earlier this year, MIT advances. They'll take on Princeton in the semifinal today. And Harvard and Princeton both getting a bye. Harvard will take on Brown, a rematch of last year's semifinal, where Brown came out on top. I know Brown is licking their chops to take another bite here at Harvard. Brown had a tougher game yesterday. Not really what you would expect from a 3 seed, but 14-10 in their matchup. And so for them, it's going to be interesting to see just how well prepared. And I mean, look, they could very well have been looking ahead, but 13-11 win against Long Island University. And I'm hopeful they were just looking ahead.
Yeah, 13-11 is different than 14-10.
Yeah, 13-11, 2-goal game, sorry, against Long Island. We don't have the stats. They don't post the stats, so a little harder to
We will always mention that they don't post the stats.
We will always let them know. So Brown Harvard rematch. Last year, Brown took this one. MIT Princeton. I got Princeton beating MIT as we update this. I'm actually going to take Harvard beating Brown. I think that they're not quite. If you're 13-11 versus LIU, not much is going to change in 24 hours. I suppose it could, but the game is at Brown, so maybe some home advantage there, sleeping in their own bed. But I still take Harvard here, and I think it's a Harvard Princeton final for me. Yeah, but that should be a really good game. That Harvard Brown game should be really good.
Yeah, hard to disagree with you. No real notes here. I think we will see a Princeton Harvard final here tomorrow.
Yeah, very cool. All right, Mid-Atlantic. So Wagner wins their matchup. I am just like, wow. I did not have Wagner in the semifinal here. They beat a Bucknell team 21-13, where I thought
Wow.
Bucknell would roll. But Wagner, I didn't do my research. Wagner was decent this year. They beat George Washington this year, who beat Santa Barbara. Not that transitive property always works, but Wagner beating George Washington, that's a good win for them. It's a couple of tough losses as well. Wagner beats Bucknell 21-13. George Washington beats Mount St. Mary 16-10. And of course, Naval Academy beats Mercyhurst 20-6. This game of Navy versus George Washington, going to be a tough one for Navy. And if they are overlooking them, thinking we're going to get to Fordham in the finals, because I think everybody has Fordham beating Wagner here, they could get beat here by George Washington. And they won this game in regular season. They played twice. They won both games, both by 3. That's not dominating. That's not convincing.
No,
in my mind. So I have
21-13 is somewhat convincing, but
21-13 is convincing. That's Wagner beating.
Not by 3. Not by 3. You were talking to Gavin Arroyo earlier this week about how that 3-goal advantage can be dangerous for the leading team.
Yeah. So that'll be the game to watch in the Mid-Atlantic Conference this year, or this weekend, or today, I should say. Let's distill it all the way down to today. Later on today, Navy, George Washington. Winner taking on most likely Fordham. We do have Fordham there. Who do you think wins this game? Navy, George Washington. Who do you got?
We've said it multiple times, as others have. It's hard to beat a team 3 times in a season.
Yeah.
George Washington, remind me. That was the last conference. What was George Washington's game? Yesterday.
GW beat Mount St. Mary 16-10.
16-10. Convincing win. I think, like you said, GW is going to be very dangerous here. It's going to be tough for them to overcome what Navy's bringing to the table. I do think Navy overcomes, but it's not going to be easy.
It's not going to be. And look, George Washington has nothing to lose. Like, they've lost twice. They're not a top-rated team. What do they have to lose? Play with reckless abandonment, for crying out loud. Yeah,
we've also talked about our service academies, though, being disciplined, being focused. I think their staff is going to have their players with the blinders on, just focused on GW today.
Yeah. So, we know Louis Nicolau has been around the sport a long time. So he knows how important this is whether or not he can instill that in his players. So we'll see. All right, here we go. I don't want to do that one yet. We're going to do the Big West. We'll end with the WCC. We'll go to MPSF after this.
That's fair.
Long Beach, Santa Barbara both got buys. UCI drops a tough one to UC San Diego. Very sad for UCI. They played without their most influential player in Cole Francisco.
Yeah, very sad.
Very sad. You never want to see that. It was devastating for that team. They've had a tough year. UCI has had a tough year, and a lot of good players, a lot of good men on that team. But UC San Diego came to play. UCI played very well in the first half and just kind of ran out of gas without Cole Francisco, and we hope he is okay. Tough game for them. So UC San Diego,
he's a great defensive contributor. Yeah. He's such a facilitator on offense.
He scores. He scores.
To Dale or Thrall or whoever else. Yeah, he's everywhere.
He's everywhere. And reminds me a bit of Tico Carcelade at UCLA, who really does a ton for his team and has the ability to score a high clip, makes the right decisions.
Somehow always involved in the play,
Very high on him. And his shooting percentage is very good. That's the difference between him and other facilitators. His shooting percentage is quite good. And so when you lose that of somebody who can score and has some gravity and pass and drive and play good defense, it's a tough road to hoe. So UCSD, not to take anything away from UCSD, they played very well in the second half. Mm-hmm. They'll take on Long Beach today. Santa Barbara will take on Davis, who beat Fullerton yesterday. I'm going to go Davis here, Clay. I think Davis beats Santa Barbara. And I said that earlier in the week. I still think Davis beats Santa Barbara. They're playing better. Their interior game is just really tough to stop. I know Santa Barbara has a couple of good interior players too. Kiesling, if he can get going, he was 0-4 yesterday versus Fullerton, which was kind of a weird game for him to not have a goal, but it is what it is.
Happens.
It happens. I think that Davis beats Santa Barbara here. I think Long Beach beats San Diego. As good as San Diego has the potential to be, I think they're missing a little bit of scoring. Buzov led last night, yesterday with 3 goals. It's rare you see your starting center defender
Attaboy,
lead your team in
Ante.
scoring, but Ante Buzov, he's the heart and soul of that team. He's the heart and soul. Let me tell you, having coached Ante Buzov, he's the heart and soul of any team he is on. If there's one guy that can rally your troops to
Yeah.
victory on this team, it is Ante Buzov. So maybe he steps up. Maybe he does it again. Maybe everywhere. We'll see what happens. But Long Beach, very talented. Excuse me. Long Beach, very talented. They had the day off. We know that's not always a benefit to have the day off and be a 1 seed, but we'll see how this shakes out. Good semifinal matchups here in the Big West.
Yeah, definitely. I would not be entirely surprised if Davis beats Santa Barbara either. I think Santa Barbara has been especially dangerous when Zemanian is on.
Oh, yeah.
And if the Aggies can bring a game plan that can take them out of the game, but that happens all the time where it's like, man, this person scores all their goals. We only have to shut them down and then we win. But somehow that person, even if your game plan is to shut that one player down, finds a way to do 3, 4, 5 in the game. So I think that game to me hinges on Zemanian one way or the other.
Yeah, on offense. I would also say that the shot blocking needs to be there for San Diego. Shot blocking we're seeing is, as Merrill Moses so eloquently put it, shot blocking wins championships.
For Davis?
For everybody.
Yeah, sure.
The shot blocking yesterday from CBU was out of this world. So there's that. So we'll see how this shakes out. We're going to go to the MPSF now. I'm going to speed through. There we go. Okay. So because there are D3 teams, they don't really have quarterfinals for MPSF. So there's nothing to really update on this slide. Again, to me, the athletes deserve a right to be competitive. A 36-4 or 24-7, that is not competitive. This needs to be fixed. This D3 thing as a technicality to ensure that MPSF gets a guaranteed bid, it needs to be fixed. We'll talk about what that looks like. But I just don't love the D3 component here. Like those aren't games for these guys. So it is what it is, I guess. But now you've got your semifinal matchups, which is pretty much how it started anyways. So Stanford, USC, Cal, UCLA. We talked about this before, Clay. Not great matchups for either Stanford or Cal. I want you to give your thoughts first before I give mine.
Yeah, I mean, we'd be repeating ourselves what we said going into conference. Not really much to change here. We talked about this being a year where it's not about how teams are ranking just strength across other colleges and being able to stack them up. It's a year of matchups.
Yeah.
There are certain teams that match up very well or not well against other teams. And we've seen that for SC and Stanford and UCLA and Cal, just like you said.
Yeah.
Whether it's just from a personnel or a philosophy standpoint, for some reason, we've seen these other teams have the edge. Not to say that they haven't been competitive. We saw at the overnight invitational earlier this year, Cal seeing UCLA in the finals of that, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And it was a tight game for a lot of it. And that was after Stanford took UCLA and Stanford was ahead late in the game. So if this was reversed, Stanford versus UCLA and Cal versus SC, totally different conversation. But these teams are seated this way for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, Stanford a little bit ahead of Cal here. So you want to make your picks and then I'll make mine here?
Yeah, I'm going UCLA, USC.
Okay. I'm going to go Stanford over USC today. I woke up this morning and I'm like, I think Stanford's going to do it. And there are 2 reasons why.
Which, again, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Flax pulls that off. Not at all. Like that's my prediction. But like, honestly, that game is much more dangerous than the UCLA Cal game.
There are 2 reasons for this. First and foremost, UCLA has not stopped training all year. We know how tough their training schedule is. And I don't think that they're too much of a different team than the last time they played Cal. Cal might be drastically different, but I don't think that they have the continuity. I think they have the talent. I don't think they have the continuity to beat you at UCLA today. Now, USC has more variability in their play. They're very high highs and can sometimes be low lows. I still think USC is, in my mind, the only team in the country that can beat UCLA in an NC2A tournament. But as we know, this tournament doesn't really matter. Right. The winner of this tournament does not win the NC2As.
Right. The stakes in this conference are so much lower for the majority of the teams than in these other conferences. Other ones, it's do or die. You have to win
Right. Which is
Doesn't
why
matter. Doesn't matter what happened. You
why
have
all
to win
these
this
other
conference
conferences are
to go to
so much more
NCAAs.
exciting. Yeah.
This doesn't matter. The only teams that this matters for is Cal and Stanford.
Right. So I think USC has trained all week. I don't think they've tapered. We talked about this last year when USC beat UCLA. I think USC has trained all week. I don't think they've tapered. I think they're fine taking a 2 and playing one of these, Cal or Stanford, in a semifinal round. I think they feel good about that. Okay. I don't think they want the 2, but I think that they're not peaking. Stanford knows they have to win. So Stanford is on the rise, and they have been playing exceptionally well. Exceptionally well. I am thoroughly impressed with how well this team is playing, with basically 3 main scorers on this team in for Botan and Georgie. And Zelikov will come in and do his deal. Those 3.5, 4 guys, they have done really well. And I think
And
USC
they
has
had
a
the
little bit of
supporting
like,
staff to facilitate them
yeah,
wonderfully as well.
and I mean, look, if you watch any of these games where the plays are made, it's Botan for Georgie. Those the Holy Trinity, I call them. They're the ones that really run everything. DeMartre will get in the mix a little bit. He'll have an assist here and there. But the shooting and the scoring, that's coming from those 3. And
Totally.
look, you can't win games unless you're scoring goals. And they have a really good way of finishing. Like Botan is an unbelievable finisher, like leading the team in assists and goals.
And no one really knew that until this season. And I think they're like, oh,
Well, we knew that. I don't think many people
not
did.
as many knew it last year as they do this year. Okay.
Well, for sure, because he's in the spotlight now. But I think Stanford, as well as they are playing right now, I think they take USC because I just don't think it. I know it doesn't mean the same to USC as it does to Stanford.
Fair.
Okay. I think Cal loses to UCLA because they're just so much more consistent. And I think that's it. I think the weekend's over at that point.
But then at
Because
that point,
Stanford,
yes. Yeah, right.
after today, the weekend's over. Doesn't matter what happens. Even if Cal beats SC a third time, I just don't see that happening, but that's okay. So Stanford, I think Stanford wins today. They punch their ticket, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter.
The drama here is what Cal needs to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Cal needs to finish above Stanford somehow. So if Stanford manages to beat SC, assuming that Cal doesn't make it past UCLA, then that's it for them.
Correct. So I think that it ends here for Cal with a loss to UCLA and Stanford beating USC.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's my thought. I could be wrong. I've had the privilege of watching a lot of Stanford games. I've watched them get better and better and better as the season has gone on. I know that they're ready for this tournament. I talked to a couple of guys. They're pumped. They're ready to go. And so to me, I woke up this morning feeling this way. I could be wrong. A little premonition, if you will. I don't know. I could be totally wrong. So we'll see what happens here. It just feels like Stanford's playing so well right now.
Yeah, and we've gone, for those of you who have been with us for the entirety of the season, and we had our own rankings week. We had separated the top 3 teams on a national ranking, being UCLA, USC, and Cal.
Yeah,
putting Fordham at number 4, if I'm not mistaken, and then Stanford at number 5, kind of separating Fordham and Stanford in their own little pocket before you go 6 and below. And then Stanford has, over the season, proven themselves as a team, as a unit, overcoming the adversity that they faced from the summer. Really beautiful to see. So whatever happens, very proud of that program.
Yeah, and I'll go as far to say this. I know that Adam Wright won the MPSF Coach of the Year, and we don't give too much credit to these awards because of how they're done. They're not. I won't get into the details of it, but I'll say this: Brian Flax has done an outstanding job with this team. And I don't know if it's just because he's letting them play a little bit more. They're far less rigid and structured, and they're substituting way less than they did last year. But these guys are playing really well together. And to some point, you got to give some credit to the coach, right? It's not just all the players. He's doing something right with these guys.
Yeah, I'd like taking a team from A to B, right? Like UCLA has been strong and dominant, and like, look, that's warranted. That it takes a coach to be at that level and to be that consistent, of course. And I think that we're talking about taking a team from one place to another, like Flax has done, to demonstrate his coaching ability.
Right. So it's a really exciting time, at least momentarily for this particular conference. It may all be moot after today. The finals won't really matter that much, but it is what it is. But I think Stanford, if they beat USC, they're in here,
Yep.
unless Cal beats UCLA, which I just don't see that happening. Again, it's not a
But it
talent
could.
thing. They
What do we
could.
know?
We don't know anything. Nobody does. But it's just a continuity thing. I think it's just, as Coach Evers called out, the day before Stanford was the first practice all season that he has had his full team available to him with no injuries. So injury bug hit them really hard this year, and it makes it hard to find continuity. It just does. You need reps. You need reps, time on task together. And if you don't have that, it makes it really, really difficult. So I've got Stanford over SC. Clay has SC over Stanford. We both have UCLA over Cal. So, all right, now to the big one. Here we go. Pacific, Cal Baptist, San Jose State, Pepperdine. Let's talk about yesterday real quick. San Jose State beating Air Force. They dominated the first half. Not so good in the second half. What did you see, Clay?
I saw a very gritty Air Force doing their darndest against a more talented San Jose State. And I mean, really, like, round of applause to Tom Leggett and Ryan and that squad there for doing what they did and getting as close as they got to realistically being able to take out San Jose State. That would have been amazing. Incredible, thrilling. Not for Gabor and the Spartans, but they were right on the heels the whole way there. San Jose State could never relax that entire game. So what does that mean for San Jose State? It wasn't their best performance, and they know that. And we're hoping that all these teams have fixed those kinds of errors or mistakes so that they're not getting countered over and over again by Air Force, right? Away pool with elevation or not. And that's what I saw. I saw a team that came out with a win like they should have, but plenty of margin for improvement going into today's game versus Pepperdine.
Yeah, and they were up 9-4 at half. And they kind of let off the gas.
Yeah.
A little bit. I know Gabor went really deep into his bench in hopes to preserve some energy.
And look, like they don't need to send a message by like demolishing Air Force. They just need the win.
Yeah.
And
well,
like
when
you
you
said,
talk about NC2A criteria, they don't look at how much you won by or if it went to
right.
It's a win or a
so
loss.
like
Check mark.
Room for improvement, and as you mentioned, and totally worth calling out, like they did start going deeper into their bench. Then as things got closer, boom, put in that first line again to make sure that they're secure with the victory. But getting deeper will be important. If there's a game today that leads to a ton of exclusions, they need guys to have minutes and start feeling good about what they're bringing to this game today.
Yeah, for sure. So San Jose State taking on Pepperdine. Pepperdine 20-17 over Santa Clara yesterday. Defense was optional, it seems.
We were hoping that Wes, you were on the call for the game of Pepperdine at Santa Clara a week or two ago, and noticed a market shift in Pepperdine's defensive effort in that game. How did that compare to what you saw yesterday?
Well, it's a good question. I mean, they ran the same defense to get the same outcome.
That Brescia,
the Brescia
guys
defense.
playing back of the zone, field blocking, very important.
But it was less effective. They gave up a lot of turn. They turned the ball over too much.
I was going to say, was it mainly that half-court defense, or was it what was happening on offense, would you say?
I think it was a combination of both. But, I mean, look, Santa Clara played inspired. Ricardo De Simone was outstanding. He had 5 goals on 9 shots, 2 assists. He had a number of steals, 4 steals in the game. He leads the country in steals. So you need to know that going in, and you need to not let that happen. Just protect the ball at all costs. And he countered hard. Like I was impressed by his effort in that game. And I think he really like pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. Yeah. So was impressed with Ricardo De Simone. Really, brought
showed heart.
He did. So Emma Vandershoff had 6 assists. Pretty good. 1 of 3 shooting, 6 assists. Pretty incredible. Good for him. So you're fueled by a couple of foreigners here. On the Pepperdine side, a guy I really wasn't super aware of. We got to meet him and interview him after. Kate Anderton with 5 goals for them.
Yeah, Anderton out of nowhere.
Yeah, I don't know what his stats
Well
are.
done, man. Well done.
Yeah, they were
5 for
leading
7, I think,
5 for
shooting.
7. Yeah, yeah, and one was like a hezzy near side lob switch
Yes.
with something crazy, caught me off guard. They were leading 10-6 at half. It was a 7-7 fourth quarter. So what that tells me is that if you press Pepperdine, they struggle because Santa Clara went hard press on them and said, "Hey, we're going to try and feed the counter. We're going to beat them at their own game." There was a phrase somebody said to me when I was young, like, big guys hate to be pushed around and fast swimmers hate to be swam. Like, you don't want to be beat at your pride. Like, you know what I mean? So it was always more frustrating for me. I would much rather play against a bigger guy who's more lumbering and stronger than me and just try to give everything I've got and then counter. I hated playing guys who were fast. It wasn't because they were faster than me, but I had to then use what I had to like kind of stay with them versus as an advantage.
Yeah, against
So
like bigger, maybe slower guys, you used
yeah,
your advantage was your quickness and get
right.
around them. So if your advantage is eliminated, you don't get to have as much fun, maybe.
Correct. Yeah. It doesn't play to my strong suits, if you will.
Yeah,
And I think Pepperdine kind of got hit with that. Now, San Jose State is not fast. So I don't know how that matchup works out, but it's, San Jose State, good defensive team. Can they score enough? That's the question we're going to find out today. I can't make picks because I am on these calls, so I'm not going to go any deeper than that. But Pepperdine defense, different. It was good, not great at 17 natural goals. Like in 17 goals regulation, that's not great defense. So they're going to have to clean that up. And look, a win's a win. They didn't dominate. It was back and forth. They, trading goals the whole time. So we'll see how this is going to be a very compelling first semifinal this morning or this afternoon.
yeah, yeah. And again, a battle of goalies. Two of the best. I'm curious, Wes, would you agree between
In this
Josh,
conference,
of course,
yeah,
and then Smirnov? I
yeah,
think Pepperdine has tried to, or maybe realize that they can use Smirnov a little bit more. That's why they're going into that more Brescia style defense. And he had some good saves, I think, in that game. But will it be enough? Like San Jose doesn't have the speed, maybe, that some of those Santa Clara players had versus Pepperdine today.
yeah.
But overall, I think this comes down to toughness, and that will win the game. So can Pepperdine be tough
All right.
enough, can have that grit and play more? I think I like the word controlled aggression. It's not a word, it's a phrase, I guess. Controlled aggression, meaning to play with enough like ferocity and intensity where you are like very aggressive. If the note is just the word aggressive, you're risking offensives constantly. You're risking, going over people's heads, getting excluded. But having a measured aggression, a controlled aggression, where you are knowing like what the optics are of how hard you're going at somebody, so that it's just under the threshold of being negatively impactful, but it's just enough to not be, out physicality'd, I'm going to say, out muscled.
Yeah. And San Jose State's a very physical team. They're
That's
not,
what I
they are
mean.
not shy about being physical.
Yeah, I don't think Pepperdine wins often when they're faced with physicality and
Okay.
aggression, whether it's a CBU or
Clinton
otherwise.
calling
I
his
am.
alma mater out again.
I am. It's a big note, and I think it's really important. And I think their success hinges upon that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's move to the other side. You got Pacific, who had a bye yesterday, and California Baptist University. What a game, CBU LMU. LMU jumps out to a 4-1 lead at the end of the first period of play. I'm sitting here going, is CBU going to wake up? Is this going to be a repeat of LMU just throttling CBU? And then something switched, and they just go on this.
What switched?
I don't know. Maybe
The faith kicked in.
I think the faith kicked in. I give them that. They've got the shirts, Clay. They've got the shirts, faith, weights, and water polo. Faith, weights, and polo. The faith kicked in. I will say Alex Rigetti kicked in. And the resiliency and toughness, the grit, you talk about grit. There's not a team that's going to outgrit these guys. And I'm so impressed with how Coach Rosa, Coach Lowry have these guys prepared for conference tournament once again. And I'm looking at this and I'm going, oh boy, now CBU gets Pacific. But man, with CBU field blocking, Rigetti with 4 goals. He drew 3 exclusions. Nutso with 3 goals, 3 assists. The younger Beeman, 2 goals and an assist. The older Beeman, 1 goal, 3 assists. And they're from Golden, Colorado. So that's part of the reason CBU's travels. So they got some family. Like it was an impressive display. And the frustration of LMU was very evident, sadly. And it just, I mean, CBU kind of, everybody has a plan until they get hit in the mouth. And CBU kind of hit LMU in the mouth. And
Lions got a lancer to the jaw.
Yeah. Okay. But it just took them out of their game. And they were unable to get production and finish shots. They weren't getting all the way down to the 2-meter line. Bodic got very frustrated. And I think for him, it just, when he went out mid-third with about 4:20 left in the third, they just kind of like eroded from, I mean, it was tough. It was tough sledding. Q2, Q3 were tough sledding for the Lions, but they played well in the fourth. CBU was just ready. I mean, aside from the first quarter, and Rosa talked about this in the postgame interview, they didn't play a great first quarter. They got to put 4 quarters together if they're going to beat a very good Pacific team. Pacific gets CBU again in a semifinal of the West Coast Conference Tournament Championship.
Repeat of last year. This is what I talked about before. If we're picking teams in the West, I know you're not. This is Pacific wanted this.
Yeah.
Pacific wants this matchup so bad. CBU, I'm sure they want it too. They want to prove that they can do it again. Like they're not going to be shying away from it, but there's going to be a deep-seated hatred.
It's personal.
Something dark within that Pacific team. And when talking with their guys earlier, I think the question is here. We know that exists between guys who experienced that defeat last year. How can they instill that sense of like darkness going into this game to their freshman class that doesn't have that experience or that identity to this game? How they can translate that upon the people that weren't here before. Yeah, it's going to be very meaningful.
It will be. And that's the second semifinal today. So really looking forward to that. Obviously, finals would be tomorrow for all of these conferences. Winner of the West Coast Conference, winner of Mid-Atlantic, winner of Northeast, and winner of Big West all will get the one slot into the NC2As for their conference. So pretty meaningful to them in that sense. So a lot of great games on tap today. Big West Coast Conference will be on ESPN Plus. The Mid-Atlantic and Northeast will be on CWPA TV, is my understanding, and MPSF will be on overnight. So exciting set of games today. Hey, who knows? Maybe we do this again tomorrow and do some finals breakdown and updates.
Who knows, man? Who knows? Maybe.
I love it. Clayton, thank you for taking the time this morning. Yeah, we play this out. Thank you for taking the time this morning, Clay. Thank you for everybody who's tuning in, watching live. We'll repost this on the YouTube channel here later on today. But appreciate all the fans, everybody saying hello, all the kind emails we've received this season as it's coming to a close. We've got a couple episodes left as we march towards the NC2A. But before we get there, got a couple of great games on tap today. So we'll see how these things shake out. Good luck to all the teams. We'll see you on the pool deck. And Clayton, thank you again, buddy.
Thank you. And remember,
life is short, man.
Score goals.
Beat you to it. Score goals. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.